Sagittarius, the voice of your soul is calling you toward a higher destiny. Sagittarius, there comes a moment in life when the noise of the world grows too heavy, and yet, beneath it all, a softer voice begins to rise. It is not the voice of fear or doubt, not the echoes of expectations placed upon you by family, friends, or society. It is deeper, purer, the voice of your soul. And right now that voice is calling to you, clear and insistent, guiding you toward a destiny higher than the life you've known so far. Perhaps you have felt it as restlessness, as if the life you've built no longer fits the shape of who you are becoming. Perhaps you've sensed it as a tug in your heart, a whisper that says there is more for you than this. Or maybe you've noticed synchronicities, moments too aligned to be coincidence, reminding you that you are on the edge of something greater. This is no accident, Sagittarius. This is your soul's voice, and it will not be silenced. Your journey has prepared you for this moment. Every heartbreak, every lesson, every triumph and every failure has been shaping you, refining you, strengthening your fire. And now the universe is opening a doorway. The question is no longer whether you are ready, the question is whether you will listen. Stay with me, Sagittarius. In this message, we will explore how to recognize your soul's voice, how to trust its guidance, and how to step into the higher destiny that is waiting for you. And if these words resonate with your spirit, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe as a declaration that you are ready to follow the call of your soul. Gate 1: Recognizing the whisper beneath the noise. Sagittarius, your life has always been filled with movement. Ideas, adventures, responsibilities, people needing your time, places calling for your energy. At times, it has felt as though the world pulls you in every direction, leaving little space for stillness. And yet, even in the busiest moments, there has always been something deeper. A whisper beneath the noise, a subtle pull inside your chest, a knowing that no matter how much you accomplish or how far you travel, something greater is calling you. This is the voice of your soul. Unlike the loud demands of the external world, it does not shout. It speaks softly in sensations, in dreams, in the moments you feel most alive. Perhaps you've noticed it during long walks under the sky, when your thoughts quiet and your heart feels open. Perhaps it has come to you in the form of dissatisfaction, realizing that what once thrilled you now feels hollow. Or perhaps it emerges through synchronicities, a phrase you hear repeatedly, a symbol that follows you, a sudden coincidence that feels too aligned to ignore. These are not random. They are the language of your soul, reaching through the noise to remind you of your destiny. I once spoke with a Sagittarius woman named Claire, who had built what looked like the perfect life. A good career, a stable relationship, a comfortable home. But inside she felt restless. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't living my real life, she told me. At first, she ignored it, convincing herself she was ungrateful for wanting more. But the voice kept rising. She began noticing repeating signs, the number 1111 on clocks, chance encounters with people who encouraged her to write, a dream that returned night after night. Eventually, she realized her soul was calling her toward her true purpose as a storyteller. Today, she lives aligned with that purpose, and the restlessness that once haunted her has transformed into peace. Sagittarius, your soul speaks to you constantly, but the world often teaches us to ignore it. We're told to follow logic, to prioritize practicality, to fit neatly into roles that keep us safe but small. And yet, you were never meant to live small. You are ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and truth. That means your spirit craves growth, exploration, and authenticity. When you try to silence your soul's voice, restlessness follows. When you ignore its call, life feels heavier, duller, less alive. But when you honor it, even in small ways, life begins to flow with a sense of meaning you cannot find anywhere else. Another Sagittarius, Marcus, described this beautifully. He had always felt drawn to healing work, but his family pushed him into finance. For years he chased success, earning money but feeling spiritually empty. I would lie awake at night, he said, and feel this ache in my chest like my soul was suffocating. Eventually he began listening. He took small steps, reading about holistic practices, volunteering at wellness retreats, exploring alternative paths. The more he listened, the clearer the voice became. Today, Marcus works as a holistic coach, and he often tells his clients, "Your soul's voice never leaves you. It waits patiently until you're ready to listen." Sagittarius, this is true for you as well. No matter how far you've wandered from your truth, no matter how many distractions you've chased, your soul has not abandoned you. Its voice may have been quieted, but it has never been silenced. And now it is rising louder than ever, calling you toward a higher destiny that aligns with the fire in your spirit. But how do you recognize this voice clearly? Begin by noticing what feels expansive. The voice of your soul always pulls you toward growth, toward authenticity, toward love. It may not always promise comfort, but it always promises freedom. If something drains you, if it makes you feel smaller, if it forces you to betray yourself, that is not your soul. That is fear. Your soul's voice may challenge you, but it will never diminish you. It always calls you higher. The challenge, Sagittarius, is learning to trust it. Because the world will always offer noise, opinions, doubts, expectations. People may question your choices, urging you to stay where it is safe, predictable, and familiar. But your soul does not care for safety at the cost of truth. It knows your destiny requires courage, leaps of faith, and trust in the unseen. Listening to it may mean stepping away from what others expect. It may mean walking into the unknown. But you, Sagittarius, were born for the unknown. Adventure is in your blood, and your fire was never meant to be contained. So start listening. Pay attention to the whispers in your dreams, the tug in your chest, the synchronicities that repeat until you cannot ignore them. Trust that they are not random, they are guideposts. Your soul is speaking, Sagittarius, and its message is clear. You are being called toward something greater. The restlessness you feel is not dissatisfaction with life. It is your spirit reminding you that you are ready for more. And as you begin to honor that voice, you will feel a shift. The noise of the world will lose its power. Doubt will not disappear, but it will no longer drown you. Instead, clarity will rise, guiding you step by step into the higher destiny that has always been waiting for you. Gate 2. The leap of trust into the unknown. Sagittarius, hearing the voice of your soul is one thing, but trusting it is another. The world has taught you to value logic, proof, and certainty. Your own fears have whispered that if you step off the path of safety, you may lose everything. And yet, every great turning point in your life has come not from certainty, but from a leap of faith. Trusting the unseen is what allows you to live the life you were born for. When you begin to honor your soul's voice, you will feel the tension between comfort and destiny. Comfort whispers, stay where you are. It may not be fulfilling, but at least it's familiar. Destiny whispers, step forward. The unknown is frightening, but it is where your freedom lives. And Sagittarius, you already know in your heart that your fire cannot remain in cages of comfort. You are too expansive, too restless, too aligned with growth to stay small for long. I once spoke with a Sagittarius named Daniel who faced this exact crossroad. He had worked for years in a stable job, respected by colleagues, financially secure. But inside he felt empty. I knew this wasn't my life, he said. But I was terrified of leaving what felt safe. His soul's voice kept calling him toward teaching and mentoring, work that lit his heart even when it scared him. Eventually, the restlessness grew too strong to ignore, and Daniel leapt. The early days were uncertain, but within a year, he found himself thriving in ways he never imagined. The moment I trusted my soul's voice, he said, everything began to align. Doors opened I couldn't have planned. It felt like the universe was waiting for me to say yes. Sagittarius, this is what happens when you trust the call. You activate a force larger than yourself. The universe conspires to support you, not because the path is without challenges, but because it is aligned with truth. When you follow your soul's voice, synchronicities multiply. The right people appear. Opportunities that once seemed impossible suddenly find their way to you. And you begin to realize that trust was never about eliminating risk. It was about stepping into a current already flowing in your favor. But let's be honest, trusting this voice is not always smooth. Fear does not disappear overnight. You may take a step forward and feel the urge to retreat. You may hear the doubts of others echoing in your mind. You may wonder if you are foolish for chasing what you cannot yet see. These are natural growing pains, Sagittarius. They are not signs you are on the wrong path. They are signs you are shedding an old skin, one too small for the soul you are becoming. Another Sagittarius, Elena, shared with me how she left a relationship after years of ignoring her soul's voice. She knew it wasn't aligned, but fear of being alone kept her trapped. "The day I finally walked away," she said, "I felt both terrified and free." That night, she cried herself to sleep, but the next morning, she woke with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. Her leap into the unknown didn't solve everything instantly, but it restored her alignment. "I learned that freedom isn't the absence of fear," she said. "It's the willingness to move anyway." Sagittarius, your soul's voice is not asking you to have all the answers. It is asking you to take the next step. You may not see the entire path. You may not know exactly where it leads, but you will always know the direction, because your soul communicates through resonance. If something expands you, excites you, makes your heart feel alive, that is your sign. If something contracts you, drains you, or forces you to betray yourself, that is your warning. Trust the expansion. Move toward what feels alive. As you do, you will discover that trust creates momentum. Each step you take builds confidence, proving that your soul's voice is trustworthy. You begin to see how many times in the past it was right, even when you ignored it. You realize that intuition is not random. It is your higher self guiding you toward your destiny. And the more you trust it, the clearer it becomes. This is how your path reshapes. Where once you felt trapped, you begin to see choices. Where once you feared endings, you begin to recognize beginnings. Where once you lived by external expectations, you begin to live by inner alignment. Life does not suddenly become easy, but it becomes authentic. And authenticity is worth more than any illusion of safety. Sagittarius, imagine yourself standing on a cliff, the winds of destiny swirling around you. Behind you is the life of comfort, the patterns you've outgrown. Before you is the unknown, vast, intimidating, but alive with possibility. Your soul's voice is the whisper that says, "Leap. Your wings will find you." This is not recklessness, it is alignment. The leap does not destroy you. It reveals you. So trust the voice, Sagittarius. Trust the pull in your chest, the synchronicities that repeat, the restlessness that refuses to fade. They are not distractions, they are guidance. And when you honor them, you step not only into a new chapter, but into the life your soul has been calling you toward all along. Gate 3, becoming a beacon for others. Sagittarius, when you begin to trust the voice of your soul, something remarkable happens. Your life stops being only about you. Your fire, once focused solely on survival or self-discovery, becomes a light that guides others. You transform from a wanderer searching for your path into a beacon that helps others find theirs. This is not because you seek recognition or leadership. It happens naturally, because truth radiates, and people cannot help but be drawn to it. You may not notice it at first. Perhaps a friend begins confiding in you more deeply, saying, "I don't know why, but I feel safe telling you this." Or maybe someone tells you your courage inspired them to take a risk they've been afraid of. This is the ripple effect of living authentically. Your actions, your presence, your willingness to follow your soul's voice becomes silent permission for others to do the same. I once met a Sagittarius named Leora who had endured years of fear and silence in an unhealthy relationship. The day she finally listened to her soul's voice and walked away, she thought she was simply saving herself. But in time she realized she had sparked something much larger. Her younger sister found the courage to leave her own toxic relationship, saying, "If you hadn't shown me it was possible, I never would have believed I could." Leora's choice to honor her soul didn't just change her life. It changed the lives of those around her. Sagittarius, this is the hidden gift of your path. You were never meant to keep your fire only for yourself. Your fire is communal. It ignites others, spreading courage, clarity, and hope in ways you may never fully see. When you trust your soul's voice, you are not only creating your destiny, you are helping others awaken to theirs. But let's be clear. Being a beacon does not mean carrying everyone else's burdens. This is a trap you must avoid. Because your heart is generous and expansive, you may feel tempted to overextend, to guide, to fix, to pour endlessly into others. Yet true guidance does not come from sacrifice, it comes from example. You do not need to burn yourself out to inspire others. You only need to live authentically, and your light will do the rest. Think of a lighthouse on a stormy coast. It does not chase after ships or dive into the waves. It stands firm, shining steadily, and by doing so it gives direction to anyone who chooses to look. That is your role, Sagittarius. Not to carry but to shine. Your consistency in following your soul's voice is what empowers others to trust their own. Another Sagittarius, David, learned this when he left a high-paying but soul-crushing career. His family called him irresponsible, his friends thought he was reckless. But he knew he could no longer deny the pull of his soul. He pursued environmental work, something that had always been his passion. At first, the judgment of others weighed heavily on him. But years later, when his work flourished, those same people came back to him saying, "You showed us what it means to live in alignment." David's willingness to listen to his inner call gave others permission to imagine a different way of living. Sagittarius, you may already feel this happening. People sense your light, even if they don't understand it. They may ask you for advice without knowing why. They may feel more courageous after spending time with you, even if you never spoke a word of guidance. This is the energy of someone who has chosen authenticity. It is magnetic. It is healing. And it cannot be faked. Your journey also teaches others a vital truth: that pain and betrayal are not the end of the story. You have known storms, but you have also risen from them. And in your rising, you remind others that they can too. Perhaps someone in your life is silently enduring deception or loss. They may not tell you, but when they see how you have transformed your wounds into wisdom, they believe in the possibility of their own healing. Your light whispers, "If I can rise, so can you." But being a beacon also requires boundaries. Not everyone who is drawn to your light comes with pure intentions. Some will seek to take without giving, to drain without contributing. This is why your discernment is essential. A lighthouse shines for all, but it does not open its doors to every ship. In the same way, you can shine for the world, but you choose carefully who you allow into your inner circle. Your soul's voice will guide you here too. It will show you who resonates with your truth and who does not. Trust it. As you step more fully into this role, you will notice that your purpose expands beyond personal goals. You will feel called to contribute in ways that serve the collective, through teaching, creating, mentoring, or simply embodying authenticity in everyday life. This does not mean you must become a leader in the traditional sense. It means you live so fully in your truth that others cannot help but be changed by your example. And this is the deeper destiny of Sagittarius: to be a seeker who becomes a guide, to transform personal truth into universal wisdom. You do not need to have all the answers, you only need to embody your own. That embodiment will speak louder than any words you could ever say. So Sagittarius, trust the process. Trust that your light is not only for you. Trust that every step you take in alignment with your soul's voice strengthens not only your path, but the paths of countless others. You are not walking alone, you are blazing a trail. And behind you, others will follow, guided by the glow of your fire. Gate 4, walking the path of higher destiny. Sagittarius, you have always been a seeker. From the moment you first felt the pull of life's mysteries, you have been searching for meaning, for truth, for something greater than yourself. And yet, all along, the voice of your soul has been whispering, the answers are not outside of you, they are within. Every journey you've taken, every trial you've endured, every moment of expansion and contraction has been preparing you for this moment, to step not only into a life of authenticity, but into a destiny aligned with something higher. What is higher destiny? It is not about titles, achievements, or recognition. It is not about living the life others think looks impressive. Higher destiny is the alignment of your spirit with the greater flow of the universe. It is when your fire burns not just for personal gain, but for collective purpose. It is when your path uplifts, heals, and inspires others, not because you force it, but because living in your truth naturally radiates light. I think of a Sagittarius named Amira, who once told me that for years, she believed her destiny was to climb the corporate ladder. She worked tirelessly, achieved much, and yet she felt empty. Then, after a near-death experience, her soul's voice became louder than ever. I realized I was living someone else's dream, she said. My soul was calling me to serve. Today, she runs a wellness center that blends her love of travel, teaching, and healing. For the first time, she told me, I feel like I am not just living, I am fulfilling something sacred. That is the essence of higher destiny. It feels less like striving and more like flowing. Sagittarius, your higher destiny is unique, but its signs are universal. It calls you through restlessness when you've stayed too long in places that shrink you. It tugs at you through desires you've silenced, insisting they were never random but divine assignments. It surrounds you with synchronicities that nudge you forward, chance encounters, repeating numbers, dreams that won't let go. The question is never whether destiny exists, it is whether you are willing to follow. Stepping into this path requires trust, but it also requires surrender. You must be willing to let go of the old scripts that told you success looks a certain way. You must release the fear of disappointing others who cannot yet understand your calling. You must surrender the illusion of control, understanding that destiny unfolds step by step, often in ways you could not predict. Sagittarius, this surrender is not weakness. It is alignment. It is trusting that your fire is guided by a force greater than you, a force that knows exactly where you are meant to go. And what happens when you walk in higher destiny? Life begins to feel different. Even challenges carry a sense of purpose. Even uncertainty feels infused with possibility. The work you do, whether grand or humble, fills you with meaning because it is aligned with your soul. The relationships you build are deeper, clearer, more resonant, because they are rooted in truth. You begin to wake each day with a sense of expansion, knowing that you are not just surviving. You are participating in the unfolding of something larger than yourself. Another Sagittarius, Raphael, described it like this: "For years I felt like I was chasing something I could never catch. But when I finally surrendered to what my soul wanted, I stopped chasing and started creating. It's like life met me halfway." This is the paradox of higher destiny. It feels like both effort and ease. You still work, you still show up, you still face difficulties. But beneath it all is a flow, a current that carries you because you are aligned. Sagittarius, your higher destiny may not look like anyone else's, and that is the point. Some will find it in art, painting truth onto canvas. Others will find it in teaching, igniting minds with wisdom. Some will find it in healing, tending to the wounds of others with compassion. Others will find it in storytelling, travel, or activism. The form is unique, but the essence is the same. Your life becomes a channel for truth, a vessel for light, a manifestation of the fire your soul has carried since the beginning. And this is where your Sagittarian nature shines brightest. Unlike some who fear change, you thrive in expansion. Unlike some who cling to the past, you are always ready to aim your arrow toward the horizon. This openness, this hunger for growth, is what allows you to step fully into destiny. You are not afraid to leave behind what no longer serves you. You are not afraid to dream bigger than others think possible. You are not afraid to walk paths untraveled. This courage, this faith, this fire, that is what makes you a child of destiny. But let me remind you, destiny is not a destination you reach one day. It is a way of living. It is a continual conversation between your soul and the universe, a dance of trust, surrender, and action. Some days it will feel like leaping. Other days it will feel like waiting. But through it all you are aligned, guided, carried. And that is what matters, not that you arrive but that you walk in truth. Sagittarius, the voice of your soul is calling you now louder than ever. It is saying, the time is here. The path is ready. Step into it. Do not let fear silence it. Do not let doubt drown it. This is your moment to choose, to live not by shadows, not by expectations, but by the higher destiny written in your spirit. And when you choose it, when you say yes, when you follow the call, you will not only transform your own life. You will ignite a ripple of transformation that touches every soul you encounter. That is the true power of Sagittarius. To expand light wherever you go, to turn fire into guidance, to become a living embodiment of destiny itself. Conclusion. Answering the call. Sagittarius, your entire journey has been leading you here. Every storm you've endured, every truth you've uncovered, every dream you've dared to hold on to has been preparing you for this moment. When the voice of your soul rises above all else and calls you into a higher destiny, this is not a random whisper. It is the compass of your spirit, guiding you toward the life you were born to live. You no longer need to question whether the call is real, it is. You no longer need to wonder if you are ready, you are. What remains is the choice. Will you listen? Will you honor the pull in your heart, the synchronicities surrounding you, the fire inside that refuses to be silenced? Or will you stay in the comfort of the familiar, knowing it no longer fits the truth of who you are? Sagittarius, your soul is not asking you to leap blindly. It is asking you to trust. To trust that the path ahead, though unknown, is aligned. To trust that your fire, once dimmed, is now strong enough to light the way. To trust that by following your inner voice, you will not only find your destiny, you will become it. So step forward, Archer. Aim your arrow not at safety but at truth. Let your soul's voice guide your aim, and let your fire release it into the horizon of possibility. For the life waiting for you is not ordinary. It is expansive, radiant, divine. And if these words resonate with you, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe, not as a simple action, but as a declaration. I am ready to answer the call of my soul. I am ready to step into my higher destiny.